bagpipes are warming up.
It was funny afterwards. I watched the documentary.
People didn't get the word.
What was sad was a lot of these commanders, they knew that it was ending. They sent people up to the front lines, and there were like 6,000 troops got killed.
Yeah.
And they went to Hadley.
Yeah.
They made sure the war was over.
Hey, Ray. Kind of personal thing. And there will be a moment of silence too. Yeah, this is Reagan.
So is there a formal program, or are we just
We're milling at this point, but if you want to come a little closer.
I can see it.
So it's this order.
Walking on your ankles, are we?
Yeah, pretty much.
Better shine it left.
Well, just a little blood shot. It's not that bad. You still are
wall to wall. They had to take everything out, go to the basement, and start back up. You had a wall over here. Nothing was straight up. So now it's all.
Excuse me.
Good afternoon all. My name is Filip Kristich. I'm the proud principal of Roosevelt High School. If you haven't been here for a while, welcome to our beautiful, new, almost finished campus. And for those of you who graduated from here or had the great fortune of working here, welcome back home. It's nice to have you. I would like to take a moment and thank some of the people who made it possible for us to be here today and dedicate for this dedication ceremony for the Roosevelt Veterans War Memorial. Thank you, Ms. Bernadine Lee, mother of David Harding, one of the soldiers we're honoring today, for generating support from Blue Stars Mothers organization. Mr. Bruce Hall, commander of the North Portland Veterans of Foreign Affairs, North Portland Veterans of Foreign Wars, post 1325. Thank you for your donation for the memorial. Thank you, Michael Verbout of Roosevelt High School Alumni Association and Jeanette Powell of Roosevelt PTSA for your ongoing support. I also want to thank the St. John Heritage Association as well as Carolyn and Ward Bonin for their donation toward the memorial and the flower arrangements for the ceremony. Thank you. Thank you, John Courtney, Portland Police Bureau, for playing the bagpipes today. That was stunning. Matt Hockett and Chad Nielsen from Lee Crutcher Lewis and Ann Samuel from Bassetti Architects for designing and constructing this beautiful campus, including where we are today. Sue Brent is not here today, but did a lot of work in helping us through this modernization process, particularly of ensuring that some of the memorial stones that used to be in the courtyard have been protected and preserved and are here with us today. And we certainly wouldn't be here today without the hard work and dedication of Mr. Ray Guimeri and Michael Brown. Thank you, gentlemen, for your dedication. Last and certainly not least, I want to thank the Roosevelt students and alumni who selflessly served their country, in some cases sacrificing their lives. Roosevelt has always been a school where we encourage students to make this world a better place. This Veterans War Memorial is a prime example of that legacy. We chose to locate the War Memorial close to what will soon be our community garden. We hope that this location will inspire in visitors a sense of heartfelt reflection and deep respect. In that spirit, I would like to invite us all to take a moment of silence and bring to our minds and hearts the brave Rough Riders who have come here to honor. Thank you.
Commander of VFW Post 1325. We operate here in North Portland. We meet at the Eagles Hall down in Lombard. I feel sort of out of place because I'm not an alumni. I actually grew up in Michigan. And then via Vietnam, I went to Fort Lewis. And then when we got out of Fort Lewis, we decided to stay out here. But we've been here since '73. And I love the area. And I visit the school often with information. But I would like to start off today if you would all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. One of the missions of the VFW, Veterans of Foreign War, is to honor and memorialize our veterans, those that served, and those that especially sacrificed their lives for our country, that we can have our freedom. And so, when Mike Brown approached me, our post about this memorial, we were willing to donate money towards it and establish it because we want to memorialize those that have served our country, those that have given some, those that gave all. All gave some gave all. And one way we do it, as Veterans of Foreign War, we have buddy poppies that we distribute in May, and little red flowers. Those the slogan is, we honor the dead and we help the living. When people wear those, it shows that they're honoring those that serve. And when they donate money to a relief fund, that money goes to help needy vets. So that's sort of our main thing here in North Portland. And we're glad that we were included in this, and we're in North Portland to serve the community. That's what the Veterans of Foreign War is all about. So thank you very much.
Yes, I'm next. I'm Ray Gamari, Roosevelt alum. Probably one of the oldest from walking around here. I go way back. I used to be a retired alum, but Mike Morvatt tells me you don't retire, you're fishing for life. Before I start, or as I start, I want to say, I think, if I understand correctly, I had no idea this thing was going to get this big. It started with Don Younts. Now, is there anybody here that knows the Younts family? Good, because when I was in school, the Younts family was very prominent. Don was a classmate of mine. We went to Peninsula Grade School and Roosevelt High School together. His cousin Dale Younts was a cheerleader. Earl Younts was a coach teacher. We called him EY. Those among you who were around at the time smile a little bit because you'll know what I mean. And then of course there was Mel Younts, who was 10 times with the New York Giants All-Stars. He's in the Professional Football Hall of Fame. So the Younts family was big, and that's kind of what kicked this off. I'm a member of the veterans, Korean War Veterans chapter in Southeast Portland. Our chapter received a notice from the Washington, D.C. main office. The Korean government was dedicating a new memorial wall in South Korea. And on the wall was to be only the names of the American servicemen who died in the Korean conflict. And the Korean government would host any Korean veterans that wanted to go over there. They'd pick up the tab for the whole thing. Also, and they did, and they would host anybody so they'd send the name in. Also, if anybody knew someone whose name was on the wall or should be on the wall, turn the name in so they make sure to be over there. They also would make a rubbing of the name and make a placard of the party's name with details on it. Well, I knew a couple. One of Don Younts, my classmate, was one of them. So I turned his name in. And one of our neighbor boys, Paul Phillips, who we played ball with, grew up in our neighborhood, but we went to visit. I turned those two names in. The guys from our chapter came back with the plaque. And I brought the plaque, and I gave one plaque to my old buddy Jim Trask, some of you may have known. And he, to get it to the Orville Phillips family. And the other one to Mike. I thought it would be displayed here somewhere prominently at the school with a Hall of Fame or something. When 3 months later I asked him, well, where is it? Where do you put it up? And he said, well, no, we really don't have any place to put it. So as I understand now, it's in one of the storage areas. So if anybody knows the Younts family, contact them and let them know this nice plaque is sitting there waiting for them to claim. And it's a nice thing. So, and anyhow, when I found out that, I thought, gee, there ought to be some way we can do something for these veterans and for the ones particularly that went and didn't come back. In my class, I would say about half the class guys served in one branch of the service. I know of two of them that didn't come back. I'm sure there were more. About half the guys I know served over there. Well, okay, so that's the background. So what got this started was to do something for the veterans who were over there. And the second part was to identify all of the veterans that died during the service. And during the course, Mike and our endeavors, we visited Franklin High School, which has a wonderful display. We also know Milwaukee High School, which has a great thing. We talked to them and they gave us some ideas. So there may be other schools I don't know about. We're copying them a little bit. Phase 2 is we got this stone here. But apologies for not having the stone right. There was a snafu. That's, you have to tell the civilians here what snafu is. Anyhow, the stone will look like this, except it will be bigger. It'll be about this much longer, about that much higher, and it's gray granite with this inscription on it. I'll leave this here so you can see, and it'll go right over there. The stone is being processed right now. It wasn't ready on time due to a misfortunate miscalculation on, well, I won't go into snafu. Otherwise, it would be here. It will be here April 15th. My cohort, my partner in crime, my partner here, will give you some more details on that. And I think I'll ring off with that. It's all yours, Mike.
Appreciate everyone being here today. Everyone here is special. We also have a special guest off to my right here, and that is Mr. Paul Swenson. He was 1936 at Portsmouth grade school, elementary school, class of 1940 at Roosevelt High School. And his yearbook picture, I asked him recently, do you have your yearbook? He says, no. I said, I've got your yearbook. So make sure he gets a copy of it. So, in his senior photograph, it says he's going to enlist in the U.S. Navy. Keep in mind, this is 1940. So, I interviewed him recently. I was honored to interview him. And 6 days before Pearl Harbor was bombed, Paul enlisted in the U.S. Navy. And if you don't mind me telling a little personal side of it, they said his teeth were a little bit off, so they're going to make him a reserve. So then, 6 days later, Pearl Harbor is bombed. He's now in. And so he was assigned to the USS Sewanee during World War II, and he saw a lot of action, and we're very honored to have Paul here today, along with the other folks. Thank you, Paul, and the family, too. Thank you so very much. Very honored to have you. And we are honoring those that are currently serving and the veterans, those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, and also the families, because the families make sacrifices also. And that's what these stones, the class of 1958, and two of those people are present today. We have Penny and Michael back here. They were class of 58. They purchased the first stone here to honor the World War II and also the Korean War era veterans, those that served and lost their lives. So, and then the second stone over here was from the Girls League 1983. That was to honor the Vietnam era veterans, all that served. And then the last one was dedicated to the Gulf War, and that was the class of 1991. I wanted to add, my brother's here today, Paul. When we were trying to figure out the language for these stones at one of the airport also recently, he's the one that suggested the families. You know, when those families get a knock at the door, parents, wife, whoever it is, they suffer too. So I just want to get contact for that. And he was a Vietnam veteran, 1967. So that's kind of it. History of the stones. And so right when Mary and I started talking, we're going, this doesn't honor Aaron Kent, who lost his life in Iraq recently, class of 1995. Realized, okay, we want to, get this going. So we contacted the administration here at Roosevelt, Philippe and Dan Malone, and they played a very important role. This would not have happened without their strong support. Appreciate that very, very much. So in addition to this, after this is all done with, we're going to work on a video project where anybody can watch this online. We'll have a picture of the fallen soldier, maybe a short story about them, maybe they're a class clown, student body president, they played on the music or sports or whatever. We're going to work on that. If anyone knows of someone that you know that lost their lives, please let us know. We want to add them to the list, honor them, honor their families. Carolyn Brown, I have to give her credit. She's working on the 3-ring binder trying to research all those names in the computer of those that lost their lives. So now I'd like to read off the names that we have currently. And I know there's a lot more. I had no idea. I was class of 75 at Roosevelt. The only one that I knew at the time was David Leroy Clark. He was down at the end of our block. And he's the only one I knew about. When my daughter Genevieve attended here, and she was class of 99, she wrote for the Rough Rider newspaper, bringing attention to the memorial that's in the courtyard. No one talked about it. It was kind of in a secluded location. So fortunately, Dan and Philippe decided to put it in a location where people can see this. And in Philippe's words, a place to reflect also. So here's the names. Pretty much in alphabetical order with the exception of a few at the last. Grover Barron. He was class of 1941. Loss of life April 28, 1944 over Italy. He was a gunner on a Liberator bomber. Robert Bissett, class of 1928, World War II, U.S. Army. Loss of life December 13, 1944. Walter Chulo. And a really nice picture of Walter, class of 1941. They were PIL City champions. He's on the team. And he was in the U.S. Navy, class of 1941, and he lost his life on a ship. David Leroy Clark, our neighbor, class of 1967, lost his life September 21st, 1968, U.S. Army. Jimmy Daffron, class of 1965, Vietnam War, loss of life November 15th, 1966, U.S. Marine Corps. Terry Gray, class of 1966, loss of life 1968, Vietnam War, Marine Corps. David Harding, class of 1990, loss of life March 28th, 1992, U.S. Army, and his mother's here today. Casper Hendrickson, class of 1940, World War II, loss of life February 2nd, 1944, U.S. Navy. He went down on the USS de Havilland in the Philippines. Edward Johnson, he attended Portsmouth School, lived over here in North Portsmouth, class of, I don't have the class number, World War II, loss of life February 21st, 1945. Aaron Kent, one of the more recent losses in the Iraq War. He was class of 1995 at Roosevelt. The Iraq War, loss of life April 23rd, 2005, U.S. Navy. Harold Locke, class of 1941, World War II, loss of life December 6, 1944, U.S. Airborne Division, 152nd. David Lovegren, class of 1967, Vietnam War, loss of life March 1st, 1969. David's brother and his sister-in-law are present here today with us. He also served. Thank you so much for being here also. Robert Miles, class of 1938, World War II, killed during the Normandy invasion. Orville Monteith, class of 1939, Roosevelt, World War II. Curtis Oyam, class of 1998. I may have made an error here when he lost his life, but he's U.S. Army. His father's here today. Bob, Robert, I went to school with him. We're honoring him today also. Richard Rawls, class of 1935, U.S. Air Corps B-17 bomber pilot. The name of his plane was the Casey Jones. It went down over England. 9 were lost on the crew, 1 POW. David Strohmeyer, class of 1968, served in the Vietnam War. He died May 26, 2015. It was exposure to Agent Orange, what he'd been exposed to during the war. Walt A. Tashner, class of 1963, Vietnam War, November 15, 1967. Walt was real popular. He was class vice president in 1963 at Roosevelt. You look for the yearbook, his picture's all in through there. Stanley Tucker, class of 1941, killed in action in Belgium. Robert L. Widmer, class of 1943, missing in action. James Yenny, World War II, killed in action in Italy. I don't have their class. Leroy Lehman, World War II, Army, was a paratrooper, missing in action. Gideon Wolf, World War II, Navy, killed in action. So those were all Roosevelt students. I had no idea we'd lost that many, and I think there's probably a whole lot more. So it's all the more reason, it really brings it home why it's important to honor these people and honor their families They did give the ultimate sacrifice. There are other families too. Sometimes it's PTSD. As you go back in St. John's community prior to Roosevelt, it was James John High School. A lot of those guys served in World War I. And what I've been able to locate so far is none were killed in action. But what you'll see in the old St. John's reviews is we lost another one to mustard gas. So it continues in different ways. That concludes the ceremony today. Feel free to make comments. Go ahead.
Flowers.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is very, very important. I apologize. First of all, I want to read the new stone that's going to be placed right here. And this dedicated in honor to all Roosevelt students serving or who have served in the United States of America military services, our veterans, their families, and a memorial to those that made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. And then it's got a symbol for each branch of the service: Army, Marine, Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard. The Blue Star Mothers, Bernadine, she lost a son. She also has a son currently serving. She acted on our behalf to be an advocate, contacted the Blue Star Mothers, and they've made a very generous donation to help make this happen. So we thank you very, very much.
We're very appreciative of all the concern, the support for this community garden and memorial. I've had 7 kids attend Roosevelt High School, and Red Building here has had 5 kids attend. She currently has a son who is retired Army, but is still in Afghanistan as a contractor with bomb sniffing dog. We have a son that now has gone from active Air Force out to Pang as a captain. And so we're just so blessed to have a community that supports projects like this and stuff. When we saw that this was happening and going to be a possibility and this need of funds and stuff, we went to the organization Blue Star Mothers of Oregon, which we represent moms from Southwest Washington and Oregon. And to be a Blue Star mom, you have a child in the service or have had a son or daughter in the military. And so we went and I took pictures from the internet and the websites and showed, and they wanted to make a donation. So we have a donation to go to the Roosevelt High School Alumni Association for the Veterans Memorial.
The day that we did this, the day we brought it to the meeting, was the day that they put the GoFundMe account online, and they asked for $2,000. Well, we went to the meeting that night, and we are presenting them with a check for $2,000.
Thank you so much.
This type of activity here for the Memorial Garden.
Thank you so much for your
The real check.
Yeah, this check, and then I've got to speak for that.
I also want to thank John Courtney over here, the bagpiper, Portland Police Honor Guard. And when we're finished with the ceremony, he will close with Amazing Grace. concludes the ceremony. Thank you everyone for attending today. Very meaningful. So many people. Oh, there's water over here, and there's also there's donuts over here. There's 2 dozen donuts, so help yourself to those, folks. Thank you so much for attending today. So much. Thanks.
Very necessary.
This would be nice. This would be accessible for people. You couldn't see it before. Where now, you can park here on a Sunday, walk up with mom.
That'd be good.
Pardon me?
Where's the donuts?
Oh, over on the table. Sorry. And I should have thanked you. Thanks, John. Oh my gosh. You got my phone, right?
The policeman.
Yeah.
Right away. And she was still mom right away.
And Mom,
They used to have a fireplace to heat the house down there.
we got a bag. Probably in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Sylvan's son Jeff was an electrician. I went to work for him one day and I said, well, I'm going to done your building. And I said, no way. The next day, Mr. Cody came down there just because he couldn't believe I was still kicking rocks. He came down to have lunch.
Thank you.